Hello, and welcome to Trades Talk. I am your host, Pop Culture Mechanic. You can call me Pop for short. So Tuesdays is a little different. Everyone knows that I play on the weekends games, retro games, and on Sunday I chat about anime. Tuesdays is always about the skilled trades. It's what I do, it's what I know, and I hope you guys are ready to tune in and hear about the skilled trades, because I believe there's a real shortage that we need to address that. And also have a look out there in industry and see what's happening. But before I do that, I'd like to say hello to David Glenn. Nice to see you here. And of course, Veritax. And DJ Ronnie G. And Angry Canadian. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. So as I so often do, I start this out with a little bit of news, checking out to see what's going on out in industry, because that'll sort of tell you what the economy is like, whether things are shutting down or whether things are getting built, new facilities, new factories and such. And I do that by going to Plant Magazine. We only had 2 articles here that are current. I've covered the ones from last week there. But let's have a look here. This one says Stellantis recalls over 10,000 cars in Canada over faulty airbags. So if you own a car that's made by Stellantis, you may want to look into this. Stellantis has recalled more than 10,000 Dodge and Chrysler sedans in Canada due to defective airbags. The company says an estimated 10,285 Dodge Charger and Chrysler 300 sedans between 2018 and 2021 have been recalled to replace their side airbag inflator, which can explode with too much force and hurl metal fragments at drivers and passengers. Well, geez, that's always good to have that happen. I wonder how long they knew about this problem before they decided to do a recall. The automaker says that moisture may get into the inflators due to a manufacturing defect. Who manufactured these? That's what they should be telling us too. Who manufactured them, and then don't buy from them anymore. Cause corrosion and cracks while the airbags can inflate even without a crash due to high temperatures in the cabin. The company adds it is not aware of any injuries or accidents related to the airbag. It says the defect is estimated in less than 1% of the recalled vehicles, but has urged its consumers to respond to recall notices. Globally, 318,000 Dodge and Chrysler vehicles are affected. So just make sure if you have a Dodge Charger or a Chrysler 300 between the years of 2018 and 2021, make sure you get that taken care of right away. The exec was asked when the problem started. Yeah, I'm sure he'll remember. That was a short one. I do not recall. I get it, DJ. I get it. Hey, Jay's daddy, how you doing? Good to see ya. Here's one. BC funds project to extract metals while reducing environmental impacts. This ought to be fun if they're going to get this right. Let's see what mental gymnastics we have to perform to see if this comes true. The British Columbia government is funding a pilot project that it says offers the mining industry a path to significantly reduce the environmental impacts of extracting critical metals. Okay. Statement from the province says Vancouver-based PH7 Technologies has developed a closed-loop process using chemistry to extract and refine critical minerals and help the industry transition to renewable energy. Oh, yeah. Hey, Jay's daddy, we'll be getting to the ship there. Don't worry. I just wanted to go through these. But yeah, we're getting to it. We're going to mine from third world countries, thus making it green. Hey, Godzillionaire. Yeah, you always have the good analytical mind for this. All right. It says the process also enables the extraction of metals from low-grade resources in a cost-effective way, including platinum group metals such as copper and tin. Energy and Mines Minister Josie Osborne says the company is demonstrating the kind of innovative thinking that could transform mining around the world. The company is receiving $850,000 from the Provincial Innovative Clean Energy Fund to conduct a pilot project to process 5,000 kilograms of raw materials each day into about 2,500 kilograms of extracted platinum group metals per year. The release says the process results in significantly lower greenhouse gas emissions and lower electricity and water usage compared with mining or other recycling methods. Well, the lower electricity and water usage is good. Greenhouse gases, I don't care. CO2 is good for us. Right? The plants need CO2. So I don't know what these idiots are going on about, but lower electricity and water usage is good. If they can come up with that process and make it pay off, is what they want. Yeah, you wonder what method they're using and how they handle acid runoff. Yeah, exactly. Obviously, they're probably not going to tell us what their process is. Some sort of closed loop thing, it says, but I wonder. CO2, yes, Jay's daddy. That's what greenhouse gases, CO2 is one of them. I don't think it's that bad of a gas myself. See the video of the expert witnesses they sent to Congress on the climate change crap? He was an Olympic skier. Said the snow was down. Oh, yeah, man, the snow, it just felt different. Oh, you know what it was? It was probably fake snow. Probably can't even tell the difference. So yeah, that's it for these articles today. I mean, there's just two of them that are actually kind of new. But let's get to everybody's favorite thing here. Put the video in the Discord. Yeah, good job, Godzillionaire. Please do. I want to watch that later. Here's OH&S Canada, and I'm surprised that they have the cargo ship hitting the Baltimore's Key Bridge, bringing it down. So let's see what they have to say by the Associated Press. So we'll see what happens here. That's a hell of a shot there they have of the bow of that ship just right into that structure of the pier. Compared to the ship, though, those beams seem pretty small. Maybe it's just perspective, but man. If you do the math on what plant life uses cleans of carbon emissions, we have almost no impact on the earth, almost like it was created to do. Yeah, oh, gee, almost like it was meant to do that. Yeah, strange, eh? And yet, well, you guys in America, you have about a population of about 330 or 360 million. And Canada is about 38 million. So, and in China, it's like 1 billion people, and in India is 1 billion people. Who's going to pollute more? 38 million people is a drop in the bucket. 1 billion people polluting, that's a lot. But nobody's going after those guys. Why aren't they going after those guys? Because they're too scared. It's because all their cheap stuff comes from there. Just idiotic. Making us suffer. Yeah, something like that. Supposedly while departing this container ship lost power and collided with one of the piers. Of course, those bridges weren't designed to take that. No, true. A bridge isn't designed. It has to hold up to some inclement weather, high winds, waves. I guess you can't make it ship-proof. You're reluctant to say that CO2 is exclusively good on the whole? Yeah, okay, it's beneficial to the plants. You don't care about any of the talking points from the mainstream fear-mongering narrative. Hey, you got it, DJ. That bridge did fall apart quick. It was quite amazing watching it fall apart. The whole power loss thing, as some speculate, it may not have been purely an accident. That's what I saw one guy was saying. He's like, look at this. The flashes are. Well, those are the power cords, I'm pretty sure. You know, so they don't go off before the bridge falls. They're going off as the bridge is falling, so it's ripping the cables apart. It looked like weaker than your Lego Death Star. It sure did. It sure did not seem very strong at all. Could have been sabotage, cyber attack, or someone asleep at the wheel. Well, do you guys remember Exxon Valdez? Do you remember that back in the day? The captain the captain was drunk and he wasn't even at the bridge, and they ran the ship ashore and it had all that oil spill. Same deal. It could be with this one too. First people on the scene were FBI, supposedly because the field office was close. Still, it's odd. Yeah, I mean, there's no, you can't discount it. It just seems weird that it would be into like a bridge that didn't have a lot of people on it. So close to port, hard to believe maintenance failure at that time. Yeah. Captain Joe, not far from the Naval Academy. Okay. So yeah, let's see what it has to say here. A container ship rammed into a major bridge in Baltimore early Tuesday, causing it to snap and plunge into the river below. Several vehicles fell into the chilly waters and rescuers searched for survivors. It was also not clear what caused the cargo ship to crash into the Francis Scott Key Bridge, long before the busy morning commute in what one official called a developing mass casualty event in a major American city just outside of Washington. 2 people were rescued. It was not clear how many more might be in the waters of the busy harbor near a key port. The ship crashed into one of the bridge's supports, causing the structure to snap and buckle at several points and tumble into the water in a matter of seconds, a shocking spectacle that was captured on video and posted on social media. The vessel caught fire and thick black smoke billowed out of it. Never would you think you would physically see the Key Bridge tumble down like that. It looked like something out of an action movie, said Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott, calling it an unthinkable tragedy. And yeah, it is. It's a tragedy. The people that fell into the water and the ones that have lost their lives, that's terrible. Even Wilton would have avoided that bridge. Yeah, hopefully. That damn troll. You blame the government because it's my sworn duty as a member of Galactic Alliance and an American with a brain. This is all to distract from P. Diddy being raided. I heard about that too, and it's like, wow, okay. Not sure why they call it a mass casualty event. The bridge didn't have a ton of traffic on it that time of night while it had maintenance crews on it. Yeah, I heard it had maintenance crews on it. Fire Chief James Wallace said authorities may be looking for upwards of 7 people, but said that number could change, and other officials wouldn't give figures. It was not clear if the 2 rescued were included in the 7 cited by the fire chief. Authorities said a crew of unknown size was working on the bridge at the time of the collapse, and that sonar had detected cars in the water, which is about 50 feet deep. The water temperature is about 47 degrees Fahrenheit. Before dawn Tuesday, according to a buoy that collects data from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Earlier, Kevin Cartwright, Director of Communications for the Baltimore Fire Department, told the Associated Press that several vehicles were on the bridge at the time of the collapse, including one of the size of a tractor-trailer truck. The bridge came down in the middle of the night when traffic would be lighter than during the day when thousands of cars traverse the span. Cartwright called the collapse a developing mass casualty event, though he didn't know at the time how many people were affected. So he's trained to call it that then. That's kind of sus to me. Don't say things if you don't know how many people are affected. Government attacking the working class again? Yeah. You didn't see if the boat sank with the bridge on it. I don't think so. I think it stayed pretty buoyant. Synergy Marine Group, which owns and manages the ship called the Dolly, confirmed the vessel hit a pillar of the bridge at about 1:30 a.m. while in the control of one or more pilots, who are local specialists who help navigate vessels safely into ports. It said all crew members, including the 2 pilots on board, were accounted for, and there were no reports of any injuries. Hello, Vina. How you doing? You're just in time. We're talking about the big ship that ran into the bridge. There's a write-up on OHS Canada, so I'm reading that. As the sun rose Tuesday, jagged remnants of the bridge were illuminated, jutting up from the water's surface. The on-ramp ended abruptly where the span once began. Cartwright said some cargo appeared to be dangling from the bridge, which spans the Patapsco River at the entrance to a busy harbor. The river leads to the port of Baltimore, a major hub for shipping on the East Coast, opened in 1977. The bridge is named for the writer of the Star-Spangled Banner. Oh, I did not know that. Maryland Transportation Secretary Paul Wiedefeld said all vessel traffic in and out of the port would be suspended until further notice, though the facility was still open to trucks. Governor Wes Moore declared a state of emergency and said he was working to get federal resources deployed. The FBI was on the scene, but Wiedefeld said terrorism was not suspected. President Joe Biden was briefed. I'm sure he was briefed, and then he immediately forgot what was said to him. So, the Dolly was headed from Baltimore to Colombo, Sri Lanka, and flying under a Singapore flag. According to data from marine traffic, the container ship is about 985 feet long and about 157 feet wide, according to the website. Danish shipping giant Maersk said it had chartered the vessel, which was carrying its customers' cargo. No Maersk crew and personnel were on board. The collapse caused Maersk's share at the Nasdaq Copenhagen to plummet 2% in early Tuesday trading. In 2001, a freight train carrying hazardous materials derailed in a tunnel in downtown Baltimore and caught fire, spewing black smoke into surrounding neighborhoods and forcing officials to temporarily close off major roads into the city. So that's their take on it. So yeah, this is crazy that this thing ran into. They said that they lost power. So this is the Baltimore Sun. So I got to figure these guys, they're right there in Baltimore. They should have some, I don't know, different, maybe better information. Let's have a look. A massive container ship adrift at 9 miles per hour issued a mayday early Tuesday as it headed toward the iconic Francis Scott Key Bridge, losing power before colliding with one of the vital support columns. As the 984-foot vessel struck the bridge in the middle of an otherwise calm night, it caused a din that woke people ashore and immediately toppled an essential mid-Atlantic thoroughfare into the frigid waters. The effects were immediate and catastrophic. Authorities began searching for 6 construction workers who had been repairing potholes on the Interstate 695 bridge at the time of the collapse. By Tuesday evening, their employers said they were presumed dead, and the Coast Guard said it was ending rescue efforts. Yeah, the ships are very slow to turn. How long did it lose power? And at 9 miles per hour, it seems like they'd have more notice. Yeah, Godzilla. Also, I want to know, don't they have backup power? If you lose main power, don't you have anything to have a backup so you can stay in control and have control of your ship? I got to know these things. Like what was the cause of them losing power as well? That's another thing. Is it common for ships to just all of a sudden lose power? I don't think so. We probably hear about it a lot more, but I just want to know whether they have any backup systems. That would be my first thing to have on the ship. Who wants to be stranded out in the middle of the ocean? Never mind in a port where you're trying to deliver your cargo. You want to have something when you're not going to suffer on the middle of the ocean. Small rudders probably, and if you lose power, what does that do to the power plant and engine? Well, yeah, exactly. That's what, yeah, Veritax. I gotta know. Continuing on, citizens and officials mourned. Mount Olive Baptist Church of Turner Station in Dundalk hosted an interfaith prayer vigil Tuesday evening, while working to pick up the pieces from a catastrophe that reverberated up and down the East Coast, as well as around the U.S. and the world. One of 3 paths across Baltimore's harbor had been destroyed, and in the same motion a major shipping channel was obstructed by the very steel that had safely guided thousands of commuters across it the day before. Despite promises from Joe Biden that the federal government will pay for a new bridge, state and federal officials couldn't say how long that would take. But it was clear the devastation, traffic detours, and impact on commerce will be long-lasting. The ship, a Singapore-flagged vessel named Dolly with thousands of containers on it, departed the port of Baltimore at around 1 a.m., then quickly ran into trouble. It's unknown what precisely caused the collision at 1:27 a.m., but the ship reported losing power just before it struck the bridge. The National Transportation Safety Board is investigating the accident, which authorities said does not appear to be intentional nor an act of terrorism, but had not boarded the vessel to collect evidence such as recorders as of Tuesday afternoon. That would be the first thing you do. I'm sure they're like airplanes where they have black boxes and recorders. Get in there, grab that information, and examine it as closely as you can to determine what happened exactly. It could take 10 years to build a new bridge, maybe longer because of the environmental impact, design, and the amount of time to build it out. Yeah, it's not exactly the quickest thing, is it? I did not want to disturb the more pressing matter, search efforts led by the U.S. Coast Guard, but Tuesday night, Rear Admiral Shannon Gilraith said the rescue efforts would be suspended. Based on the length of time that has gone on in the search, the extensive search efforts that we put into it, the water temperature at this point, I do not believe we're going to find any of these individuals still alive, he said. 2 people, one who was briefly hospitalized and another who declined a trip to a hospital, were rescued, authorities said. Many more may have been spared. The Maryland Transportation Authority police on the highway above the ship prevented many cars from driving on the bridge just before the collapse, likely saving lives. Hours after the overnight collision, sunrise illuminated the chaos. A massive ship sat in the middle of the Patapsco River, and strewn about were pieces of what used to be the 1.6-mile bridge that carried 12.4 million commercial and passenger vehicles in 2023. Baltimore awoke to the tragedy. States of emergency declared by both the mayor and governor, ongoing prayers and rescue efforts for those missing, and a bridge that had disappeared from the skyline. Tuesday was disheartening, dizzy day of updates and information as Marylanders grasped for reality and authorities pieced together what Mayor Brandon Scott called an unthinkable tragedy. Agencies involved range from local first responders to the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the U.S. Department of Transportation. Biden gave a White House address Tuesday afternoon vowing that the federal government would foot the bill for a new crossing. I expect the Congress to support my effort. This is going to take some time, but the people of Baltimore can count on us, though, to stick it with it every step of the way until the port is reopened and the bridge is rebuilt. I mean, it's terrible, but now's their chance to upgrade the bridge, I guess. Make it, bigger than it was before. I don't know. They can do a lot of stuff with that. Don't just make the same bridge over again. Those container ships are pretty tall above water too, and the bridge taller. Still, that fall to water would have really... Yeah, it would have, for sure. Crashing into it from that height? Yeah. Yes, DJ, there was 2 pilots on the ship from what we read. The Coast Guard deployed 4 boats as well as a helicopter to aid in the search and used sonar and underwater drones as part of rescue efforts. In the pre-dawn darkness, some rescue boats and emergency personnel gathered at the boat ramp and Turner Station Park, nestled in a cove on a tributary of the Patapsco. Divers battled temperatures, tide, and darkness as they searched through water about 50 feet deep for vehicles or missing people. The National Data Buoy Center reported water temperatures in that area to be about 49 degrees at 4 a.m., a dangerously cold temperature. Yeah, that is cold, all right. What are the odds they were running an undermanned crew? That could be. You never can tell with the sketchy shipping guys. Lieutenant Colonel Roland Butler, superintendent of the Maryland State Police, said surface ships will be on the river overnight, while divers plan to continue the search Wednesday at 6 a.m. Construction crew on the bridge worked for Bronner Builders, whose executive vice president Jeffrey Pritzker said in an evening interview with the Baltimore Sun that 6 of the company's employees were presumed dead. It's a terrible, terrible, unforeseen tragedy, he said. None of us could have imagined this could happen. We were all kind of shocked and distressed. The crash immediately drew comparisons to the 1980 collapse of Tampa's Sunshine Skyway, when a 606-foot freighter collided with a support column amid a storm and destroyed the bridge, killing 35 people. Ooh, I didn't know that happened. Wow. The total of those feared dead Tuesday in Baltimore might have been worse had more cars been on the bridge at the time of the crash. People are heroes, Governor Westmore said of police who prevented cars from driving onto the bridge. They saved lives last night. Video from the incident shows the container ship billowing smoke colliding with the bridge support and much of the structure quickly collapsing. Just before the crash, the ship's lights appear to turn on and off multiple times. Some of these things are tied to automation, GPS too. If something interfered with their sensors, could that have done something? Maybe, but I don't know if they do like automatic pilot as they're going through a river. I would think they would definitely have the pilot, the harbor pilots doing their job. They prevented cars from driving on the bridge. Why were there still road workers on it? Maybe that's why they were stopping cars. To let the road workers do their work without having to worry about cars, racing by them. I'm just saying that might be one of the possibilities. A Coast Guard briefing report obtained by the Sun stated that a harbor pilot and assistant were on board and reported power issues, multiple alarms on the bridge, and loss of propulsion prior to the incident. U.S. Senator Ben Cardin told the Sun in a phone interview that indications pointed to the vessel losing power, causing it to lose steering. Scott, the mayor, had given his state and city address Monday night and was still awake at the time of collision. It looked like something out of an action movie, he said. So if you have problems like that, if you're the harbor pilot and you see that there's power issues and such like that, drop your anchor right away. Don't stop. Cut the engine, drop the anchor, and don't do anything else until they can figure it out on your ship. There's got to be a proper procedure to follow. You can't tell me that they just wing it when they go on the bridge of the ship. There should be procedures for things like that. Either the shipping company has a procedure or the harbor pilots have a procedure. Okay, power is intermittent. We have to call off what we're doing, stop the ship, and wait for the repairs. That's what I think. Has anybody floated the idea it was Somali pirates? No, nobody's thought of that yet, David Glenn. I think maybe we'll throw that one out there and see what they say. To continue, the collision blinked by in seconds. Its consequences will span years. I don't know. The consequences will span years. I'm sure everyone will forget about it in 6 months. Maybe a year. Sad to say, but once the new bridge is up and everything like that, it'll slowly fade away. All vehicle traffic has been rerouted from the bridge, which is part of the Baltimore Beltway, a key traffic artery. Commuters will be funneled into the 2 cross-harbor tunnels. But some vehicles, like those transporting hazardous materials, can't use the tunnels and will have to take the long way around. As of Tuesday afternoon, the Port of Baltimore was still processing trucks inside of its terminals, but vessel traffic into and out of the port was suspended. State Transportation Secretary Paul J. Weidfeld said Coast Guard reports stated Patapsco River Channel is fully blocked. Sal Mercogliano, a Campbell University professor and former merchant mariner who hosts a YouTube show on shipping, said it could take weeks, if not months, to clear the channel of bridge debris and open a lane for ships. That will likely have grave consequences on commerce in the region. Well, can't they have like a barge with a couple of excavators on that with hydraulic cutters on them? You just go up, grab onto the piece of beam, use your cutter, just hydraulically cut the thing, and then put the beam on the barge. Like they've got to have something like that around there. It's not the first time they've needed to clear debris out of a channel, I'm sure. Imagine if the impact pot traffic, not just car and truck transport, but other ships in and out. Oh, port traffic, yeah. It's going to impact port traffic for sure, Veritax. Yeah, it could have very big impacts in the Northeast. In fact, if it's delayed for some time, it could cause the economy to fall a bit, maybe a recession. I think you guys are, and we're all in a recession right now, if tell the truth. There's no going into one. It's like we've been in one for a long time. They'll probably have to scrap all the other parts of the bridge too before building new. Oh, of course. Clean all the debris out of there, right? Get some excavators in there, just on barges. Get them to grab pieces, cut them, put them on the barge, right? I'm sure they could clear it out if they really tried. But we'll see if you'll know if they're serious about it if they start cleaning up right away. We know we have a long road ahead, not just in search and rescue, but in the fallout from this, Baltimore County Executive Johnny Olszewski Jr. said in a news conference. Dispatchers first reported a possible vehicle in the water at the Key Bridge around 1:40 a.m., according to audio captured by Broadcastify and reviewed by The Sun. About 12 minutes later, a first responder who reached Fort Armistead Park got on the radio, relaying the unfathomable scene in front of him. Be advised, the entire Key Bridge is in the harbor, the person said. The entire Key Bridge has fallen into the harbor. You wonder if a tunnel could be possible instead? The only thing about a tunnel is it's going to cost more, that's all. They can do it. It's just cost, how much they're willing to spend. If the federal government's going to foot the bill, I mean, yeah, people in Baltimore should be like, hey, build a tunnel instead. Priscilla Thompson, who lives on the water in Dundalk, facing the Key Bridge, was awakened in the middle of the night by the horrible sound of crashing steel. I really thought it was an earthquake or something because it shook the house so bad, she said. It shook it. It really rattled it for 4 or 5 seconds. Then it got real quiet. Jesus Campos is an employee of Bronner Builders, the company with crew on the bridge. When it collapsed, he used to work on the bridge team, but recently switched to a different shift. Could have been there with my coworkers, he said in Spanish through a translator. Okay, here's the path. The dolly began moving at approximately 12:51 a.m. It made its way out of the port, colliding with the Francis Scott Key Bridge at approximately 1:27 a.m. So it left here, and it swung around, and it went and looked like it veered to the right and hit the bridge. They already have tunnels. They needed the bridge for hazmat travel. Ah, yes. Good point, Godzillionaire. Good point. New York City tried digging a subway tunnel from Staten Island to Brooklyn multiple times. First time was before World War I. Construction stopped with us joining the war. Same situation before World War II. You guys just can't catch a break there, DJ, trying to dig from Staten Island to Brooklyn. Those who have seen video of the crash can see that something went awry. The ship appears to lose power. It emits smoke. It crashes. What exactly went wrong will take time to investigate. Before ships leave the dock, they typically undergo a series of tests to ensure they are seaworthy. How much you want to bet they just kind of bypass those tests? Skip through them, just pencil whip them. Oh yeah, we're good. We're good. When asked whether Dolly had any major deficiencies before taking off, National Transportation Safety Board Chair Jennifer Homendy said it's much too early to tell. That is part of our investigation, where we look in depth at safety information, she said. The ship was under the operation of a local pilot, as is required by Maryland law. To guide it through the port, the pilot will undergo drug and alcohol testing as part of the investigation. Well, yeah, that should be standard. Any accident, people always get tested for drugs and alcohol. But unlike the Ever Forward incident in 2022, in which a pilot distracted by his cell phone contributed to the grounding of a container ship in Chesapeake Bay. Oh wow, that's the ultimate distracted driving right there. The incident appears to be one that caused by mechanical, not human error, said Mercogliano, the former merchant mariner. Without power, the pilot and crew would have been unable to navigate, he said. When the power goes out, the worst feeling you can have on a ship as a sailor is everything gets quiet. Mercogliano told The Sun, that's the worst, because that's a clear sign that everything is about to go wrong. All the ship's 22 Indian crew members and 2 pilots aboard have been accounted for. There are no reports of any injuries, according to a statement from Dolly's owners and managers. According to maritime tracking websites Vessel Finder and Marine Traffic, Dolly was built in 2015 and had arrived in Baltimore from Norfolk, Virginia. It left the port of Baltimore around 1 a.m., about a half hour before the collision. Dolly previously collided with a platform known as a quay while leaving the port of Antwerp in Belgium in July 2016, according to Vessel Finder. That caused significant damage to its hull, and it was docked for repairs before returning to duty. So this is another accident it's had. It collided with a platform. It's called a quay. Database of shipping inspections by authorities across the globe indicated Dolly's most recent inspection by the Coast Guard in September reported no deficiencies. According to the data compiled by Equasis, a maritime safety website, the inspection before that was conducted June 27th at the port of San Antonio in Chile and found one deficiency related to propulsion and auxiliary machinery such as gauges, thermometers, etc., according to Equasis. Or Equasis. Watch it here. Okay, this is sped up a bit. So power loss number 1. Starting to turn. I can see it. Recovery. Power comes back on. Thick smoke for some reason. Goes out again. Comes back on again. But it's too late by that time, I guess. Man, oh man. You have the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. It's similar to the Golden Gate, but better. Yeah. Screw you, Golden Gate Bridge. You guys got a better one. They haven't said a Mayday was declared. Yeah, that's the weird part too. If you're gonna lose power, don't you call out like, oh no, we're losing power. What are the odds of the same ship having a collision? I mean, they did it once in Antwerp, so if it's the same, crew and all that, maybe they aren't as good at being mariners as they should be. It's like the scene from Wing Commander, the movie, and either the Kilrathi capital ship gets sucked into the Singularity. How do they use radios if they lose electrical power? So most of the time, I don't know what it's like on a ship, but we will have Motorola battery-powered radios that everybody will carry around with them. I assume they would have the same thing on a ship. It makes sense as well. It should work anyway. But like I say, I don't know what they do on the ship like that for communication. Yes, battery backup. I would hope they would have some sort of battery backup. As for the bridge itself, which opened in 1977 after 5 years of construction, so it only took them 5 years to build that bridge. It shouldn't take them 10 years to build the new bridge. Doesn't make sense. Why could they build it in 5 years, and now it takes 10? That makes no sense to me. Federal Highway Administration records indicate the bridge had been considered in good or fair condition, going back at least 3 decades. A 2023 Maryland Transportation Authority inspection found the bridge to be in overall satisfactory condition. Well, I don't know. I'd rather if it said good condition if I'm going to drive over it. If you're driving over it and somebody's like, it's satisfactory, that doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. Moore said the bridge was fully up to code, and Benjamin S. Schaefer and Johns Hopkins professor of structural and civil engineering who reviewed video of the incident said he didn't see anything that immediately stood out as a red flag. In regard to the bridge's structural integrity, he called the collapse more of an acute event. The bridge has 2 supports holding it up. If you take one away, it's not a bridge anymore, he told The Sun. It will take longer because of stricter environmental regulations and probably building codes. Okay. But yes, that is what the Baltimore Sun has to say about it. They sure gave you a lot of information. Bridge was not designed for someone to put that much tonnage directly into a key pier. Yes, that's true. It's not ship-proof. All right. Yeah, so that's the news of the day, that's for sure. I've been seeing this everywhere all over the place about the bridge, or the ship that hit the bridge. So watching the video they had where it lost power and then all of a sudden there was smoke, so that means there was a fire somewhere. And if it's an electrical fire, that's not good. Things catching on fire, they don't go out very easily. And you could see the power went on and off a few times. But then finally they just couldn't do it anymore, and the ship started to turn on its own, and it just went right into it. I'm hoping that when they do build a new bridge, maybe they should put in some bigger piers. Maybe something that can stop or divert a ship. I don't know if that's possible, but I'm sure they'll consider it. Maybe make it a bit... it looks like it was made strictly out of beams and such, steel beams. Maybe they'll consider concrete for the next one? I don't know. Anyway. They should put a do not hit with ship sign. That'll do it. No side loading, please. Ship that large doesn't have a large rudder, so if the power goes out and it restarts, it takes time for it to have enough to really get it moving in the direction they want to go. It's like a stall. Okay. Yeah, you probably know more about ships than I do, Veritex. I don't know anything about for ships and such, so I've only seen the size of the engines that they use. Hey, IJP, how you doing, man? Nice to see you. We just went through this the article about the ship that went into the bridge, and it was not pretty, not at all. Lots of questions, and you definitely want the people to get to investigating sooner rather than later. You've got to get those little black boxes, the recording. Record the things that record about everything that's going on the ship, and start questioning people, like what was the fire all about, where's all that smoke coming. Like, you definitely gotta grill these guys now. You know, they've caused a lot of damage, and a lot of people died, so you gotta hold all the people on that ship accountable. Yeah, it was crazy. It's like trying to regain control on ice after lifting off the throttle. Okay. The smoke was probably the stack for the petrol power plant. I don't know. Maybe it was. More likely diesel? Yeah, ships run on diesel. They don't need any fancy gas or anything like that. Those big engines will just run on diesel. All right. Well, I've got some. Sorry, a lot of people last you heard it was only 6, which is still sad. Yeah, it is, and 6. That's what I meant. Like the that whole crew that was working on the bridge, the people that fell in their cars. That's what I consider. 1 is too many, of course. And like I say, I'm just saying that they have to be held accountable for those people's deaths. They need to know the full story of what went on that ship that caused it to crash. That's where our media is. 6 people in that is a mass casualty event today. Yeah, we saw the guy saying that, and he didn't even know how many people. He's just automatically said, "Oh yeah, it's a mass casualty event." But I've got pictures for you guys. I've got pictures. I've got video. We can move along here from this from the ship. I'm sure there'll be more information to come, and we can keep up on that in the coming days and weeks. So go here. Oops, not that one. There we go. And I'll just capture this. So, you guys remember a while back we got a brand new compressor? Well, there you go. There it is in all its glory. Seated on the large concrete foundation. It has all the piping hooked up to it now, and it's all insulated. There's the motor that drives it. Because they didn't want it to be any longer, they're like, okay, well, we'll put the motor on top. You know how terrible a design that is? And to change out this motor, the thing weighs 1,700 pounds. And it's on top of the compressor. You need a crane to come and lift it off and put another one on if you ever have to change that out. And there's a smaller one for the lubricator box. Here's the lubricator box. There's the small motor that drives the lubricator box. And each individual lubricator on top. Right? This is just a reservoir. It's like a front engine drive car. So yeah, this thing. Like, look how thick of a cable you need to power the damn thing. Luckily, electric motors never fail. Yeah, luckily. I've told management too. I'm like, you guys have to get a spare motor. We don't even have a spare one. This thing is specialized. This is a T6 motor, which means it's designed not to get hot to ignite the chemicals that are in the plant. If something happens to accidentally get split, or a pipe opens up or something like that and shoots on here, it's not supposed to get hot enough to ignite it. This is a special motor. You had to get it from Europe. Yeah, Godzilla, you know it. Not getting a T6 off the shelf. So I told him, I'm like, you guys better get a spare going, because we don't, we're screwed if this thing fails, So there you are. It's very simple. It's got the crank in the back here to a long connecting rod that goes all the way through. And it's got 2 pistons on it. It's got a high pressure piston in here and a low pressure piston in here. And as it rotates back, it goes back and slides back and forth. The rod slides back and forth. And the low pressure pulls in from the bottom and shoots out the top, and then from the top goes over, goes in the bottom of the high pressure and out into the process. So you got low and high pressure on the same rod, and it moves the material out and out to the plant. Management believes has the utmost confidence that you will rewind that motor if needed. Hey, it's not me that's going to do it. I'm going to take I will take this puppy off, put it on a pallet, and send it over to our motor rewinders, and they will take care of it. Not I. Just borrow a bunch of hamsters from a pet store and give them a flywheel? Yeah, exactly, Veritax. Let's see what else here. So I got this shot of it. Here's an end shot of it. So it's not very wide, right? There is the chamber where the pistons would come out. It's hard to see, but back here, this is the guard for the flywheel. Or there's a big sheave, so it's belt driven, and that silver piece is the guard that covers it. So it's actually not very wide at all. It's got a big base to it, but that's just to hold the mass of the thing. You'd be tempted to remove those bolts during operations. You can be tempted all you want, DJ. That'll be a one-way ticket out the front door, though. There's a close-up of the lubricator box. As you can see, full of oil. It's got a heater right here. So it keeps the oil warm on even the coldest days. So it's easy to pump. There's a better shot of the lubricators themselves. You can look through the sight glasses here and set the drops per minute or drops per second. However it will be, every 10 seconds or whatever. Is it low or high viscosity? Okay, this stuff is, what is it now? NGC 150 from Summit. I think it's NGC or NGP. Anyways, it's a good quality oil. It'll have a high viscosity index, which means your viscosity doesn't change during the extreme moves from one temperature to another. So from very cold to very hot, your viscosity should stay about the same if it's a high enough viscosity index. Right? We're getting into the real lubrication talk here, if you know what I'm talking about. So viscosity of Godzilla, you know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. Viscosity index is what you look at when you want to get yourself a good oil that will last through different temperature ranges. That looks fun to observe. Yes. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, there's another shot of it here. This is the other end. There's that guard I was telling you about that covers the sheave. So this thing is about 36 inches in diameter, I believe. Quite a large sheave. Like, we had to put it on with a crane. So that's how big it was. And there's the heater for the crankshaft, for the crankcase. So here's the crankcase back here. There's the heater for that oil. And oh yeah, and there's the breather, so we don't build up any pressure in it. That little blue thing, that's a the oil filter. So everything's pretty accessible. The only thing is you do have to prime the oil system before you start it up. That's the one poor design choice they made. These guys, Dresser-Rand, having to prime the oil in and then fire it up. That was a weird thing to do, but whatever. Hang on. Before we get into these pictures, well, these These are of some old style Hills Mechana pumps. Okay, yeah, I won't show that one just yet. I want to show you guys some video, because I know how much you guys like video. Pop Culture Mechana pumps. You'll see. You'll see, DJ. Great. There we go. Okay. Make this a bit bigger so you guys get a good view. I think I just took this today, so you guys can have a check it out. So right here, as we're looking at it, there's the motor. Very short motor. Goes to a gearbox, which goes to a hydraulic end. You'll see. So there's motor. And that goes to a gearbox. And this gearbox turns the rotation to 90 degrees. And then it comes in here. And it goes to a hydraulic end. And so this thing, you can set the stroke on it. Variable stroke. Right now it's a little less than an inch stroke. And you can set that. And then that. You can barely see it work, moving back and forth in there. Then that goes over to here. So this is what does all the work. So the shaft in there, immersed in oil, and it goes inside over here. It pulls the material up and then pushes it out. It's got like a double check ball, one check ball on the bottom and one on the top, and that's how it does it. Moves the material back and forth. Very easily done. Never thought you'd see my lube shaft. Well, there you go, Blaine. Just for you, buddy. And it pumps it all the way over there. So yeah, that's one of the pumps they use. Metering pump is, I believe, what they call it. And there's a still shot of it. That's the hydraulic end. It's a Hills Mechana pump. And my balls. Yes. Check balls, to be precise. This one is a larger version of the one we just looked at. So this is a little bit better, different. It's a lot larger. It's a larger version. So we got a bigger motor on there right off the bat. Bigger motor goes to, as you can see, and then it goes to the gearbox, right? Again, gearbox turns it 90 degrees to drive the hydraulic end. Can't see it very well in there. It is moving back and forth, and it's set at about, what is it? 1 3/8 or 1 7/16 stroke. So you'll see. You can hear it. And then you'll pick this off here, and so as you can see, that's a larger shaft diameter. I believe it's about 2 inches. So it's going to move a little more volume. This is closer to the start of the process, so you're moving a lot more volume of molten sulfur. And you'll notice everything here has to be insulated. The temperature is very important when you're dealing with liquid sulfur or molten sulfur, because it has a very small window of being viscous. So up to 15 degrees Fahrenheit to 330, I think, around there. Very small temperature difference to keep it moving and viscous. Any colder, it'll freeze up in the system, And any hotter, it'll freeze up in the system. We say freeze up, but it just turns solid. So we have to have things insulated to keep the heat in. Otherwise, we'll have a lot of trouble trying to move all that molten sulfur. Yeah, and you'll see those things are all insulated. They get jackets made. We have just insulation wrapped around all the pipes. So it's important to keep everything as hot as the sulfur can be to keep it viscous. Oh, and today, where is it here? So timing. I put timing in the title of the stream. It was just lucky that I bumped into this. Like today was the day I went out and got to grease all the bearings and pumps and gearboxes. So this was my day to go out and do it. You're supposed to do it every 3,000 hours. Today was the day. So I went out and I was going through and greasing all the equipment. Hey James, how you doing? Nice to see you. So when I got to the air compressor, I opened up the panel to get at the motor, and there was oil all over the bottom of the air compressor. And I was like, oh man, this is terrible. Something is really wrong here. So I was had to jump into action and find out where this was leaking from, and it's right here. This fitting right here, it swivels. I don't think it needs to, but it does. And it was shooting a fine mist out of this fitting, so much so that it made it all over the inside of the compressor. And with that, it's amazing that I found it when I did. I could have put off this job and not done it, but I don't know how long it had been leaking for, but enough to get a lot of oil out of it. Like I had to really go through the absorbent pads to get it all cleaned up. And I got video of it because the guys I was sending this to get me a part, I'm like, hey, I need a part. And they're like, send us a picture. And I'm like, okay. So I took a picture and I sent them this picture, and I'm like, give me this part right here. And in fact, buy this one too underneath it. Might as well change both of them, because if one fails, another one is going to. And here's the picture I took, or the video I took. Very fine mist of oil. I didn't realize it at the time, but it was shooting all over the camera lens after that. And now it's all covered in oil, but I cleaned it up now. But yeah, one more time. Hang on. Come here. Back up. And make bigger. There we go. Box greaser. Yeah, right. I think Bumlooker from SNL way back. I never watched SNL, so. Lose the compressor and have to swap in a new one? Well, we just replaced this. We just replaced the air end. See down there where the mouse is pointing? That air end there, that is brand new. $8,000 for a new air end. Because the other one was houred out. So we got that. We replaced the thermo valve in here because it was overheating. So that's been done. Now this thing right here causing trouble now, leaking oil everywhere at the swivel valve, or swivel fitting. Right now it's spitting it out, right out of it there. Getting oil everywhere. Okay, Vina, thanks for coming by. We'll see you next time. So there you go. That is that is the problem I had to fight with today. And I'm getting them to fly in some parts, and it should take about a week to get here, I think. So we'll have to use our backup compressor in the meantime, but this guy, he's getting swapped out for a new one, and hopefully it'll last a couple of years before we have to change it out again. It must be from the vibration or something, because it's meant to swivel, but I guess it's just fatigue, metal fatigue, and it's never been replaced. So that is what I had to put up with today. Let's see if I got any more here. Pictures for you. Oh, you guys will be happy to know that that sulfur hose I was working on, and the sulfur pit lid, it's all good. Oh, you can't see much on the phone? That's all right, James. You gotta watch the replay then. Here we go. Proper hose, hot sulfur service, 200 psi, 325 Fahrenheit. This is the right hose to use, and this is what it looks like. Nicely fits into the lid here. It's all stretched out. Got new pipe stands to support it, and everyone's happy. It's nice and long. The truck drivers like it because they don't have to pull in as close. So we're all happy. I'm happy anyway. This is finally done and over with. We got that hose all taken care of. And yeah, that's the whole thing. Like I was saying before, timing. It's unbelievable. You gotta. Sometimes you have to be lucky to have your timing. You know. It could have been that I didn't get to that going around the plant and greasing all the motors, and I wouldn't have even known that that thing had a leak. There's no indicators. The compartment is all enclosed. There's no like visual windows or anything you can use to check what's going on inside the compartment of the compressor. So it's just amazing that sometimes, and you know, you hope that your timing works out where you can catch something before it becomes catastrophic. Because if I didn't catch it and this thing ran itself out of oil, that would have been terrible. So catching it is the best thing. So if you're in the maintenance profession, or you know anything like that, even dealing with your car, the same thing. Almost everybody has a car, so the same thing applies. Like, just do yourself a favor and take it into your favorite mechanic. It doesn't have to be. I don't say a dealership. Don't take it because they're meant to find problems. But take it into a favorite mechanic that you have and get them to look it over. Even if nothing is going wrong, you never know what they're gonna find. Like, catch this before it becomes a problem. That's probably some of the a good piece of advice is try to catch things before it becomes a problem. I know I was lucky this time around, and hopefully that my luck sticks with me, and I'm able to keep finding things before they become bigger problems than they should be. And you guys can do that too. Anyway, I should wrap her up here. It was a good stream tonight. Really had a good time talking to you guys about the ship that crashed into the bridge there. And yes, David Glenn, a stitch in time saves 9. Of course it does. That's a good saying. But yeah, I'd just like to thank you all. Came out today. I really appreciate you guys. I had fun, and I hope you did too. talking about all this, taking a break from a lot of the stuff that goes on there and just relaxing with some trades talk, looking at pictures and videos and such, how things work. That's what fascinates me, is to think that someone came up with a way for some of these machines to work. It's very incredible. Like, how did you come up with that idea that something should work like that? So if you could do me a favor and just hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, spread the word, tell people about me. You know, I'm here Saturdays, Sundays, and Tuesdays. And, you know, you guys see me in other chats from other channels, so it's always a fun time. There's other good channels out there too, people I watch and enjoy, like Pacific 4 and 4. Blaine from Blaine's Escape Corner, who is broadcasting right now. Blaine's streaming right now. There's Ronan66, DJ Ronnie G, of course. There's Brandon the Anime Guy, who I was watching before I started my stream. There's Angry Canadian. It's always good seeing him. Our own Whoopa Troopa. He does some good chill streams as well, where he's playing games. And then there's Punkwaddle. And you can find him at Floral from Under a Rock and on Snowdub's channel. I've got a Discord. It's called The Shop, because all the tradesmen hang out at the shop. Coming up Saturday. Actually, coming up Friday. Friday is Good Friday. So I get the stat. It's a stat holiday. I haven't decided whether I'm going to stream or not, but we'll see how I feel. So Friday. Saturday, game streaming. I finished Dragon Ball Advanced on the GBA. Might play some Dragon Ball on the DS. We'll see how that works out. Coming up Sunday. Oh, Sunday, yes. It's the 5th Sunday of the month. That means open stream, open mic. People are welcome to come by and we can chat about whatever you like. Minus the politics, of course. But we'll try to keep it anime themed or anything enjoyable, hobbies and such. But yes, open stream on Sunday. That should be a fun time. I'll get that all set up and we'll have a real good time. And then, once again, a loop right around again to Tuesday, where I'll be talking more trades. I'll have some more pictures for you guys, videos, and we'll go over some of the interesting things going on out there, out in industry. And we'll see if there's more news about the ship, the Dolly. Well, all right. It was great seeing you all. I hope to see you guys on Saturday for some games. But until then, I've been Pop, and I am signing off.